Hey, my name's Andrew Christie. I own Safe Homes Canada Home Inspections here in Central Ontario. We're a civil engineering-based inspection company. We specialize in century homes and cottages and all kinds of unique structures. I've been crawling through crawl spaces and attics, underneath and on top of old buildings and new buildings, all kinds of buildings for 15 years. I was interested recently when I heard Mike Holmes was doing a show on home inspection, because I know he's not a home inspector. I don't think he has an engineering background. I know he does present himself as an expert in structures and has a show that's very successful. I thought I'd watch the show and see how it went, see if he actually knew anything about home inspection. Little did I know that his show is a comedy. It's a comedy to anybody who truly understands home inspection, building sciences, and practical actions that are required when you inspect a building. When we go into a home inspection, our goal is to teach buyers everything about the building, but encourage them to not spend money on things they don't have to spend money on, because when you're buying a house, everybody knows you've only got so much money. You got to pay lawyers, you got to pay mortgage, you got to pay your down payment. There's lots of things to spend money on. For goodness sake, you don't want to spend money on things you don't want to spend money on. So, in the show that I watched, they inspected a few things that were interesting. They looked at a dining room ceiling that had a water stain. They looked at some pipes that had asbestos around them, probable or apparent asbestos. And they looked at a concrete slab outside, some possible water entry at the foundation level. All interesting stuff, kinda. The water stain at the drywall on the dining room ceiling, any home inspector who's been through a lot of home inspections would know in about a microsecond that that kind of stain results from the joints not being properly caulked in the bathroom. Ironically, Mike's guys went up to the bathroom, and instead of just telling the buyer, the owner, whomever, to caulk the joints and prevent further water infiltrating down onto the drywall, they decided they'd spray water down incredibly, they decided they'd spray water through the open joints that needed to be caulked in an attempt to replicate or produce more staining, which is incredible. So I guess they got more staining, at which point they decided to take the drywall away, remove the assembly of drywall at the underside of the ceiling in the dining room. Myself, so in the world of home inspection, I would simply look at the buyer and say, grab some caulking and caulk these joints. Obviously, if there's a molding at the junction where the floor meets the bathtub, those things are never sealed. You would just recommend to your buyer that they remove the molding, fully caulk the joint. It's not complicated stuff. Removing an entire ceiling assembly, not necessary. The asbestos was an amazing thing to watch on the TV show, because we specialize in century homes, so we see asbestos every single week. And over the years, I've learned more and more about it. I don't pretend to be an expert in it. What I do know is, in this Pinchin Environmental, who were the experts that Mike Holmes brought in on the show, we've worked with them before many times, they said during the show that the probable asbestos they felt it was asbestos. They said it's stable, there's no reason to remove it. And then in the next scene, Mike Holmes brought out a fancy camera scope device, and he put it up on top of the pipes where I suspect there was cat hair and dust, and he disturbed the cat hair and dust, and it fluttered around in a really fantastic looking display of TV graphics, and that was amazing. And then he said, obviously there's asbestos up there, rip it all out, which was high comedy, because I'm thinking you might, before you spend $20,000 inviting the guys in the white suits and closing down the whole neighborhood, you might want to test the dust and cat hair on top of the pipes to see if there's any asbestos in it. So they ended up ripping it all out. It's a huge expense. In the world of home inspection, again, our focus is to promote not spending money needlessly. So we have a buyer with a wallet that's already been significantly emptied of money. They're buying a building, for crying out loud. We're not going to recommend, I might have recommended testing the material on top of the pipes. Probably not, actually. But because we could see the asbestos system around the pipes, or it would appear they could see that system and it was sound. And again, the environmental experts said, it's fine, it's stable. As long as, the truth of it is, as long as you seal the friable or loose edges around at the ends of the system, the termination points, you normally have a stable system that's not going to allow particulates to enter the airstream of the home. Pretty simple stuff. So these guys did an air quality test after they removed all the asbestos in this Mike Holmes show. There was no test done before the remediation work was performed, however. So we have nothing to compare the new air quality samples with. it was one test only. That's not enough. Regarding the dismantling, the breaking up of a concrete slab under a deck, that was a sight to see. So a little bit more comedy there. The focus in home inspection, and after doing approximately 10,000 inspections over the years, again, we're a civil engineering based company, we have a pretty good handle on foundation walls, I think. It's a real challenge to understand why water's going in a basement, but almost invariably you can prevent water infiltration in a basement just by controlling water at the trough level, getting it away from the house, and eliminating obvious entry points for water. And that's a simple approach. It's a cheapest solutions first kind of approach. It's extremely rare when you have to do significant digging or concrete slab demolition, for example, to prevent water infiltration at foundation walls. It's just not that complicated. So I've seen slabs under decks before, and that house appeared to be a house with block walls. So at block walls, they're less forgiving than poured concrete. You really look carefully for where's the water going? Is there an entry point? Is it a crack? Is it a pipe penetration point? And your focus again is coaching people. Number one, if you don't have a problem, there's no water entry or no significant water entry, we're not spending any significant money whatsoever, and you stick to the basics. The show wasn't very clear about where water appeared to be infiltrating, but the next thing I know, they've got people with no knee pads, by the way. They must have had sore knees by the time they finished crawling around on the concrete with jackhammers, smashing the concrete up with jackhammers with no knee pads on. I would have been unhappy about that. I would have been putting a complaint into my boss to get me some knee pads. But anyway, I'm thinking breaking up the concrete slab was probably unnecessary. Various tools are available. We can install waterproofing flashings along junctions where semi-permeable concrete meets foundation walls. We can try to control the water more effectively. If we see a crack, we can try to seal the crack either from the inside or the outside face of the block. You can try a grout injection at the block. You have methods at your disposal where you can, again, promote not spending money. And I understand it's TV and it has to be 10 Commandments level, biblical quantities of work. Wow, it's impressive stuff, but it's comedy. It's not real. The report comment that Mike Holmes made, he said all home inspection reports are the same. They're binders and they have check marks. That's incorrect. And a lot of people in Ontario know, clients, buyers, real estate people, home inspectors, there are a bunch of really good home inspectors out there who produce custom engineering-based reports that are in English and they read fluidly, and they are quality documents that people can use over the years to help save them money. These documents give them confidence when they buy their structures. It is not all about check marks. Okay, so if you want to see a show about home renovation that's, well, quite frankly, not that exciting, Homes Inspected, you can watch that. If you want to see stuff about home inspection, crawling through old buildings, really exciting, interesting stuff that's real and that's athletic, www.safehomescanada.com. That's what real home inspectors do every single day.